Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Leslie Watkins. I hope everybody's well. I hope you had a great weekend. I am getting ready for holiday classes this year, and I'm in the midst of picking out my palette of colors. So I'm going to start with some ink colors that I really like. I've got a couple of things that are from the new in colors. So I've got Wild Wheat and Moody Mauve. I've got Lost Lagoon, Pretty Peacock. These are both returning colors, and Misty Moonlight. I've also got out some gray. This is Smoky Slate. I'm not sure how much of any of these I'm going to use just yet. But what I'd like to do is work out a little color swatch, and I thought I would take you along to show you how I go about doing that. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper here. I've got the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. I'm going to grab a full sheet. And I have my water painters. I also have the corresponding refillers for each of the colors. And what I like to do is to put a couple of drops on the inside lid of the matching stamp pad, because I only need maybe 1 or 2 drops. It's a little bit of these dye colors go a long way. So I'm just going to go through and make sure that each one of these has some. It looks like I've got a couple of them started, but I'll just top it off. And while I'm doing this, you may want to go grab yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and get that closed. Some of these pads are new and they're a little bit stiff. This is the Pretty Peacock color, which is a returning color. I'm so glad to see it back again. It was one of my favorites. Actually, just about all of these colors that I've selected for this project are in my top favorite colors. Okay, this is Misty Moonlight. Now I'm just going to check my settings, make sure you can hear me and see me all right. And that looks pretty good. Okay. And then finally, this is the Wild Wheat. By the way, has everybody checked out the seasonal sale items? All of these inks, the paper, and ribbons are on sale right now for one more day, and supplies are getting low. So if there's something that you think you might be interested in having, do not wait, because things are running out. Okay, so my idea is that I'm going to create a kind of an all-over loose, very washy effect. And to do that, I'm going to moisten my paper ahead of time. So I'm just going to spritz it on both sides. And this is the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. This paper is fairly thick. It's 140-pound paper. And if you were interested in using it to make a tag, for instance, which is what I sort of have in mind, it will hold up really well. It won't be too flimsy. Okay, so I'm going to begin with my medium brush, and I'm going to make a little color chart down along the side here. So I'll just begin in the order that I have these laid out. So there's my wild wheat, and I'll give you a close-up of this in just a minute. And then I'm just going to draw that out to see how it looks as it gets lighter. Alright, so there's my swatch for the wild wheat. Next, I'm moving to the Moody Mauve. And I'm closing these up after I use them, just in case I have a little visitor. Right now she seems to be sleeping next to me. For those of you who are new here, I have a kitten in residence, and she's very, very curious about everything that goes on here, particularly as pertains to paper crafting and watercolor painting. So I have to be extra careful that I don't leave paints and things around, because otherwise we get little footprints everywhere. Now the Pretty Peacock and the Lost Lagoon are very close in terms of color, but the Pretty Peacock will go much deeper in terms of value, so it's going to make a very nice accent color. And I wanted to lean into these kind of cool wintry colors. I want to do something a little bit different than the typical red and green. And so this palette is going to be appropriate for Christmas, Hanukkah, winter solstice, New Year's, all of your seasonal occasions. Hi Sandra, hi Carol, nice to see you both. So I'm just, if you tuned in after I announced what I was doing, I'm just doing a little color swatch here. And this is the Misty Moonlight. And these are some of the colors that I'm considering for my holiday projects. So I just wanted to do a little play today, and I thought I would take you along to see how I went about doing this. So you can see the Misty Moonlight is also another nice rich color that's going to give us a lot of beautiful accents. So that's an important thing to consider. So when you are taking your test palette for a ride like I'm doing here, one of the things you want to know is how dark are these colors going to be able to get in terms of value, because not all colors can reach can reach those deepest values. For instance, the wild wheat, being in the yellow family, is not going to be able to compete with something like the pretty peacock or the misty moonlight. But let's see how dark this gray can get. Pretty dark. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. It's not as dark as black, but it is giving me a nice rich color. And once these swatches have dried, I'll be able to go back into them and add even a second layer of color, and that's going to be very, very helpful. Okay, so I'm going to give you a close-up of this now. Okay, so there they are. There are my 6 colors. All right, so again, wild wheat, moody mauve, lost lagoon, pretty peacock, misty moonlight, and smoky slate. All right, and each of these, I'm pretty sure I could get another few steps in low or darker value tones from them. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and do some playing with them. So, so I'm thinking a botanical theme. So let's just get started with something very straightforward, like a little holly motif, because everybody loves holly in the winter. It's one of the beautiful evergreen things that that gives us a little bit of color in the landscape. So if I make a basic holly leaf, and it may run a little bit here and there, and that's okay. This is meant to be a loose, washy, excuse me, all over pattern that I'll use as a background for some of my projects. So I can just sort of indicate the shape and the placement of some of these things. And this is a lot of fun to do if you're somebody who's just beginning and you want to have a bit of a play with either watercolors or water-based inks. These, of course, are the water-based inks that are used to refill the Stampin' Up! Stamp pads, and the colors are gorgeous, and they will coordinate with all kinds of ribbons and cardstocks, specialty papers, embellishments, just an entire line of things that you can use to coordinate your projects with. So this is a terrific place to start. All of the items that I'll be using today are available in my online store. Many of them are on sale right now, and I will be including the supply list after I'm done with the live video today. So if you want to check any of those things out, if you'd like to get them, I think that'd be a great idea, but you're going to have to hurry, because when we have a great big sale like this, things disappear off the racks really fast. So there are several things that are already in low inventory that I like to use, and there are some things that are just not orderable. So this is the middle of the sale. It's the second day, and after tomorrow, all of the prices will return to normal. Okay, so you can see where I'm going with this. I'm just making a just a little random design. I'm going to vary the values. So I have some lights and some darks. I'm leaving some places here and there the white of the paper. And then I can go back in and I can just sort of drop in some additional color so I have some nice variation in terms of tonality. I also have a lot of upcoming classes and events that I am going to be announcing shortly in notes from Dandelion Cottage. If you're interested in joining me either live or online, please subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage because I will be sending out the schedule of upcoming holiday classes that that you are welcome to join me in, and there will be paper crafting, watercolor, and some are a mix of both. And it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited that I'm going to be having some live classes here in my town. I haven't done this for a long time, so I'm looking forward to seeing old friends and new friends. And so there'll be a lot more information about that coming right up. Now I'm switching to the Moody Mauve, and I'm going to use this for some berries. So I'm just going to begin by making some little circular shapes. Okay, here and there. Just begin to get these started. Again, it's okay if some of them are light and some of them are darker. That's the effect I'm looking for. Some of them can be peeking out from behind the leaves. Okay, so I think you get the idea of how I can proceed with that. Let's try the Pretty Peacock. Now this is one of the darker accent colors. And that's just helping me to get a little bit darker. Now if you are thinking about doing something like this, I would say just start with some of your favorite colors. Not too many. So I have quite a few out today. I have 6 colors out today, but you could start with as few as 3, and that would be very nice. You could even do 1 if you just wanted to do a monochromatic, or maybe maybe a warm and a cool color could be very effective. But you see, I'm starting to get something that has a little life to it now. I want to add some pale berries. So I'm just going to add a little more water to my mixture and see if I can get some lighter colored berries in the design here. If you'd like to learn more about working with the water-based inks and or watercolors, the Watercolor Card Club is about to open the next session tomorrow. So on the 16th of each month we open a new session, and this will be the November session. It runs from the November 16th to December 15th, and we're going to be working on winter motifs, just as you see me doing here today, except that I'll be going into a lot more detail and helping you with your questions. And you'll have the opportunity to also share your work so I can look at it and we can talk about what you could do to improve it, and various projects. It's a great group of people. If you're interested, we'd love to have you. So check that out. Now, I don't want to forget my wild wheat, and I'm thinking that this might be nice for some little stems. So I can just begin to put some kind of stem lines and connect some of these things. And that's going to give me the opportunity to introduce another color. Alright, so I think I've used just about everything. The last color I have here is the Misty Moonlight, and I'm interested in using this as a kind of a background color. Oh, I don't want that dark though. Let's see if we can lighten that up. My paper is beginning to dry, so I have the wood fire burning here today. I'm in Northwest Connecticut, and it's a little bit cool, and so we've had the fire going for some time, and what happens is it dries out the air in the studio and makes my paintings dry out a little faster than they normally would. So I have to moisten my paper a little bit so I can continue to get those nice soft edges. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just taking plain water and I'm just kind of moistening the area around my painting to give a nice soft effect. So just let that color move. And that will give me a kind of a vignette effect. I can help that along with a little bit more plain water. And you can begin to see these are dye colors, so you can begin to see how the areas where they have actually soaked into the paper. So I'm just going to flip this around, do the same thing on this side, just add a little wash of water around the edge, and then drop my color into that and let it move. Okay, now there's a couple of places on the inside and add a little color here and there. Does not have to be perfect. Okay, I'm just looking to give an impression. Some of these places are still a little bit damp, and that's okay. There we go. Okay. I think I could use a couple more touches of my pretty peacock in some of these leaves. And then I'm going to let this dry. Just a little more here and there. Okay. All right, well, I'm happy with that. Hey, Charlotte. Of course you can do it. Charlotte, you've got to come to the Watercolor Card Club. You'll learn so much. So if you were to attend one of the Watercolor Card Club Zooms, you would have the chance not only to share your painting and get help with that, but you'd also have the advantage of hearing what I say to everybody else in the group. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So you are absolutely, you're in the group. You just have to, we have to get the Zoom situation figured out so that you don't miss anything. But thank you so much for tuning in. Now, if I zoom you out a little bit, okay, so there's my painting, and it's still very damp. Okay, you can see that the paper is very floppy. It's very damp. But what I'm going to do is I want to show you how you can take a rough sketch like this. So this may not be something that you would use on a finished project, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't use it for something else. So I'm going to show you that right now. So what I'm going to do is, just for a minute, I'm going to mute the sound, and then I'm going to use my heat tool. All right, so I've got my heat tool here, and I'm just going to try to dry it a little bit so I can take you to the next step. So bear with me. Okay, so now that is not entirely dry, so the core of the paper is still damp, but the surface is dry enough that it's not going to smudge. So this is what I'm going to do. I have a couple of choices. So I've got my deckled rectangle dies. And I've got my tailor-made tag dies. And I might be able to get a couple of different ones out of here. So these two die sets are what I always keep very close to hand, because these are things that I use a lot. So I just want to get a sense of what that would look like. And I also have this big tag, which I actually quite like a lot. I'm thinking something like that. All right. I'm going to get out my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Carol says it's 62 degrees in West Michigan. That's pretty warm. That's warmer than it is here, but maybe that means that weather is going to be moving across to my area soon. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out my cut and emboss machine and get that so you can see. Now, I'll tell you what my thinking is behind the placement. So for the tag, this is the largest of the sort of rectangular tags. This design that I just painted is going to be in the background, and there's going to be other things glued to decorate it. For the deckled design, I want that to be a kind of a standalone design, so I'm trying to capture a part of the image that I think would be pretty as a little kind of a mat on something else. And then the other thing I want to do is kind of keep them close to one another, not so close that they are overlapping, but just close enough. Right, and I'm going to send that through. Now remember, the watercolor paper is thicker than our regular cardstock, so I'm just going to go back through a second time, make sure I cut all the way through. So there we go. Also in the tailor-made tags, let me just lift this up, you also have these optional little pieces, so let me show you those. So you see these little reinforcement strips? Oh, by the way, this is 2 sets. I have 2 sets of the tailor-made tags on here. In the one set, you would just get that many of the tags. So there's 10 each. I'm going to grab these little reinforcement pieces and I'm just going to put those through where there's a little bit of color. And again, I'm going to do this 2 times. And there we go. All right, now I'm hanging on to this for a minute. Because I'm going to save this as my color swatch. All right, so this is going to be handy as I continue to design. So I'm just going to keep this to the side. And you know, there's some other pieces left from my Fluid 100 watercolor paper that I can use for other die cuts and things. So I'm going to just put this in my scrap bucket. Okay, so these are the pieces that I have. So I've got this really pretty little deckled edged piece that I can use to decorate a card, a box, a tag, whatever I like. If I want to, I can add some gold ink, or I could add some of these metallic enamel effects, which would be really pretty. So that's going to be put to the side for the next thing. And then here, now remember I told you this Fluid 100 watercolor paper has some body to it. So it's pretty stiff. But if you want to make an even more substantial tag, you can cut out a matching piece in a coordinating color like the Moody Mauve or the Misty Moonlight, and just glue that to the back. And I may do that, but I haven't decided yet. And I've got some extra reinforcements here, but I'm going to take this one that has a little bit more color in it, and I'm just going to put a couple of drops of glue on there. And because it's so little, I'm going to get out my tweezers. I can remove a little bit of the excess glue, and then this straight edge goes along the straight edge at the top of the tag, and that looks really pretty. And of course I also have that gorgeous Lost Lagoon ribbon that I can use to put through the hole at the top of the tag. By the way, that Lost Lagoon ribbon is also on sale today and tomorrow, so don't forget. I will post a link for you to be able to go to the store and find all the things that I'm using today. So just give me a minute to get myself organized after the live video today, and all that information will be up. It'll take you right to where you need to go to find all these different things. So there they are so far. Let me just take a quick look, see if I can put my hand on that Lost Lagoon ribbon. Well, I didn't get it out ahead of time, but I do have a couple of other things. So here is the, this is the wild wheat, and that would look very pretty. So and the wild wheat, what's nice about the wild wheat color is that it coordinates really well with gold tones. So if you're using a lot of gold in your Christmas decorations, this would be a great way to pick up and give you a little accent, a little golden accent. And then I also have this gorgeous, this ribbon is so pretty. It's called the sheer ribbon, and it is silver and white, and you can see right through it. So if you're leaning more towards the silvery wintry colors, and that's kind of what I had in mind here. So let's take a little piece of that and see how that looks. So what I do is I just make a little loop like that, and then push that through from the front. And then pull my tails through so that it lays flat. So there it is. So you could, another option is you could back this with some very vanilla so that you could write a message on the back. Excuse me. Or what you can do is you can just have two tags with a little opening so that you could have a message that is on the inside. So there we go. I'm not done with this yet. I'm going to add more decorations to the tag. I'm going to make an assortment of them to so that you can get some inspiration. And I will be back tomorrow for Paper Crafting Thursday at 12 noon, and I'll continue with all the different things and ways to decorate that you can do with these little color swatches. So there we go. That's what I've got to share with you today. Stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will see you next time.